My name is John Slocum. Welcome to my site today. I'd like to share with you my experiences of overcoming obstacles, and I hope that I can instill in you the mindset that there's nothing that you can think of that you can't do, and there are no obstacles or hurdles that you may face that you can't overcome. I'll share with you my experiences, and hopefully you'll come away saying, hey, if he can do it, I can do it too. I mean, that's my mission. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I consider myself an average guy. I like eating out. I hate to see my team lose. I like going to the beach, put a little sand between my toes, give me a nice cold drink, and throw in a book. That's my version of mini paradise. Not only that, I enjoy just being around good people, and having wholesome, intelligent, upbuilding conversations. Just simple things, things that make memories in life. And that's what I'm about. I consider myself an average guy. But what wasn't so average about me were the obstacles that I had to overcome to get to where I am today. To be able to sit in front of this camera and talk to you like this. You see, the things that I overwent were very traumatic, beginning back in my childhood. You see, I had a father that rejected me, and then he tortured me, he physically abused me, emotionally abused me, and I was actually rescued by a family member. And while in the process of being rescued, I was actually sexually molested by one of the friends of the family. So here I lost the attachment that I had to my father. And now while being rescued, I'm sexually abused. So it's this mistrust. I don't have any attachment to my parents. I don't trust any adults. And it's like all of these things, all of these traumatic experiences were just so deeply repressed and so much suppressed inside of me. And they had such a negative impact during my entire life. You see, I was blessed with above average intelligence, and I had the drive and the ambition to prove my father wrong, because part of his emotional abuse was he never amount to be anything. And I was just motivated, fueled by this hate, to prove this man wrong. And there were many things that I did accomplish, but none of them were ever long-lived. They were very short in duration. And despite the amount of success, the amount of accolades, the amount of money, the areas that I lived in, the trips, none of it lasted. It didn't matter if it was personal relationships, whether it was a marriage, whether it was a business relationship, it all didn't last. And not only that, it never brought any personal satisfaction, because I was fueled by anger. I was fueled by hatred. And the problems, the traumatic experiences, and the effects were continuing to affect me again and again and again. Now, some 40 years later, after going through many things and losing everything once, twice, and going through that cycle again, while having a medical procedure, I had a stroke. Now, you may say, wow, what else could happen to this poor guy? Listen, the stroke was actually a blessing in disguise. You see, during all of my trials and tribulations, I've always maintained a relationship with Almighty God. And I've always wanted to do what's right. The problems and the scars that I had and the effects, mainly hurt myself. They hurt others that were attached to me. But most of my pain and my wounds were self-inflicted. And I've always wanted to do right by other people. I always wanted to see people do well. So after the medical procedure and having a stroke, what had to happen or to overcome that, I should say, I had to undergo a physical therapy, speech therapy, and psychological therapy. And see, that's what was the blessing. You see, I went through 2 years of physical rehab and speech rehab, and I went through 5 years of psychological counseling. I went to see a psychologist 3 to 5 times a week, every week for 5 years, and I saw a psychiatrist once a week. Once a month for 5 years. And part of my mission is to remove the stigma that's attached to receiving mental health, to receiving psychological counseling, because that helped me. It helped me in such a way that it allowed me to bring those things to the surface that were bothering me. You see, it lifted so many weights, that had me repeating the same lessons, the same destructive behavior again and again and again, and not learning the lessons, because you repeat it, because these things that you've just brushed away, you've never dealt with it, you just suppressed it, they're still there. But is where there's some divine intervention. During all of my psychological counseling, I never talked about the sexual abuse. That was totally repressed. I think it was beyond my subconscious, beyond my conscious memory. It was buried deep in the subconscious. And it was having a tremendous negative impact on me. And even at times, I didn't know why I was behaving or acting like I was, or repeating the same mistakes. And it's like losing something. You know you lost it, but you can't find out where it's at. But those deep feelings, that gnawing void, that gnawing pain was always present inside. So I'm talking to my psychiatrist one day, and I said, you know what? I'm tired. I don't even want to be here anymore. I don't even know why I'm here. And he said to me, I don't know why you're here, but I'm here to help people such as yourself. And it was in that moment that I realized that I probably was in a better position than him to help others, because I had been through it. You see? So I made up my mind that day that I didn't want to harm myself, that I would use my talents to help others. And that's what I did. I decided I would speak out on the subject of overcoming adversity, sexual abuse, especially on children, and also on mental health. The first organization that I reached out to talk was an organization that brought in professional athletes to talk to individuals that was in a drug and alcohol rehab program. And I asked them to be part of the program, and I was initially turned away, but less than a month later I was on stage with an ex-NBA player, and believe it or not, his speech that night was him being assaulted sexually as a child, and how it had such a traumatic experience on him that he actually landed up in a mental health facility. That night, in front of over 100 people, with ESPN radio in the house and the local news media, I admitted for the first time that I was sexually assaulted. And it was during that moment, the room was hushed. I could feel myself like I was walking on air. It was as if time stood still, and all of the weights, all of the troubling thoughts, that void that I had inside, everything was just lifted. And I was liberated in that moment. And that's why I'm here today. You see, I can share that with you. That's genuine. You can see the divine intervention, being chosen to give a message to someone, to others, to reach out, and that's what I'm doing today. And I hope you enjoyed my story, and if you need help, please, just leave your name below. I've arranged for you, just listening to my story today, to have a free copy of my friend's book. His name is Bill Hebert. The name of his book is Dream Your Life Amazing. I'll make sure you get a copy of that. I'll make sure that so when it's time for the coaching classes, the coaching to start, you'll be able to talk to me. If you want to reach out now, please do so. I'm available. I'm here to help. So just leave your name and a contact number below. We'll be glad to reach out to you. I'll make sure you get those free gifts. But in the meantime, just realize that whatever it is you're going through, you'll be just fine. Just have your faith and trust. Reach out. Let love motivate you. Let love be your guide. And if you're going through some things, reach out to help someone. You'll see that burden get light. The person that you're reaching out to will realize that you're going through problems. And they'll actually reach out to you, and you'll both be sharing the load. And the burden is not so heavy anymore. So thanks for stopping by. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. And I'll see you on the other side.